Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Can-Ask podcast. Full disclosure, I have no voice. We went to the Canada soccer game on Friday, and yes, my voice is pretty much gone. So, today's episode, obviously, again joined by Celso.
Hi.
And we will be talking about soccer to start. We're not going to go super in-depth into the Costa Rica game for Canada.
But we'll talk about it.
Exactly, yeah. We will talk a little bit about it. Then we'll touch base on the NBA. Quite a few things have happened this week in the NBA, including some not so favorable scores for the lone Canadian team. We'll touch base on tennis today, actually, because there were a couple Canadians in a tournament that went pretty far in the tournament. Second last, we'll do some NFL. And then lastly, we'll touch base on the NHL. So, moving forward here, Celso. The men, we'll start with the men real quick. Because I do want to touch base on the women a little bit more because there's a lot more to talk about, especially a situation on a team where there's 3 Canadians and that it's pretty unreal.
Across the pond?
Across the pond, yes. Pardon me. So, we'll start with the men. So, as we all know, the men played against Costa Rica on Friday the 12th. Honestly, I thought it was their worst game that they've played in all of qualification so far. And they still came out with a 1-0 win, so that was nice.
They did have a lot of possession in the first half. The first half was good. Second half, near the end, is when they were kind of falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely not good. We were winning 1-0, with halfway through the second half. And then we just almost broke down.
Yeah, they had Costa Rica came close to scoring 2 or 3 different times. Yeah. But I don't know, it's for me I thought Davies is our best player, but I think he was just trying too much.
Yeah.
He was trying too much in front of his man. So I'm hoping that, the jitters got out the first game and the second game they go back to how they normally play cuz Davies, if he doesn't try to deke everybody, he'll do it somehow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, this was personally their worst game that they've played, and they still came out with a 1-0 win, which was nice. And what was nice, so the lineups were different than I thought. But Adekupke played a heck of a game.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Our left back who replaced who I thought was going to play Alistair Johnson. That really for me cemented our the fullback position as probably our strongest and deepest. And then Kamal Miller had some unbelievable tackles too.
He did.
We'll touch base. We're gonna have an All About Footy episode releasing on Friday the 19th, so we'll talk really in depth about that. But one last thing I want to touch base on for this one though is Ike Ugbo made his Canada men's soccer debut today, which is pretty fantastic, and he had a couple of legit scoring chances too when he came on. I think that's really it. We're going to really go in depth. All you guys need to know is that right now is that they won. And then on Friday, we're definitely going a lot more in depth because there's a lot to talk about how this game went.
Yeah.
But moving over to the women's soccer now. So we'll talk about the same women a lot. We have Jessie Fleming, as you all know, playing for Chelsea. Janine Becky for Man City. We have Keisha Buchanan that plays for Lyon. And then we have Haidama Labe and Ashley Lawrence all playing for the PSG women. So, and those are some big teams across the pond. We have Diane Rose playing for Reading, I think is who it is. Adriana Leon plays over in England as well. There's a lot of Canadian content across the pond for sure. And yeah, West Ham is where Adriana Leon plays. But I think she's injured for some reason because I'm looking at the West Ham scores for the last few games and she hasn't been on the lineup at all, not even on the bench. So I think she might be injured. So a game where 2 Canadians featured, Jessie Fleming and Janine Becky's team, Man City. Janine Becky wasn't actually in the game. She didn't play, and Chelsea ended up winning 4-0. It was actually on the day of recording, November 14th in the morning. But Jessie Fleming has played the full 90 the last 2 games. She's starting to get more regular minutes, and she's actually scored the last 2 games.
Nice.
So the fact that she's getting these regular minutes in there, it's looking really promising. Really, really, really promising. And she scored in the earlier game today, 2 minutes in. So they're nice goals, and she's staying on there the whole time. And then the last game she played, the last time she didn't start, she came on, and like 2 minutes later, Chelsea scores the 2-1 lead goal. So it's like she's having an impact on the game, which
so
is
she should just
fantastic.
stay on the field.
Yeah, really. But like Chelsea has an exceptional team. The fact that she's starting shows that maybe she hasn't started. She started the last 2 games, so it could be because of injuries. It could be for other different things. It could be a form thing. But I think they've always really had confidence in her. But I think it's just starting to really show and be stronger. You know what I mean?
Now have like more faith in her to like just be able to play full 90 and just have an impact.
I think so, and I think it's like their best lineup is her on the pitch the full time, which is a huge compliment to her because that is a good team. But you know what? If she keeps on playing the way she's playing and getting regular minutes, like she could actually be a legit Ballon d'Or nominee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's scoring goals as a midfielder, which is incredible. Actually, she's playing as like a winger, like a right wing, I think is what she's playing. With Canada, she plays as the number 10. So it's interesting, really. It's interesting how a lot of Canadians for their club teams play different than what they play for their national team.
That is true. Yeah, noticed, yeah.
Right, like, so Christine Sinclair plays a holding, like a false 9 for her Portland Thorns. She's like a striker for us. Right, but she kind of plays like a holding striker sometimes, but predominantly is a striker. Jessie Fleming plays the number 10, like the attacking mid, like the one who controls the maestra of the whole pitch.
Yeah.
And she plays right wing for her club team. I think Janine Becky's the only one who actually plays the position. Yeah, I mean, and the goalies, right? But yeah, right. Could you imagine?
Oh yeah, just
on defense for anyways.
I'm striker for my team, but I actually play goalie for my international team.
Right. So on November 14th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time is Lyon versus France out in the Women's French League. Lyon versus PSG.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, Lyon versus PSG in the Women's League over there in France.
Ooh,
that's the battle of two first place teams. Yeah, so we all know that on Lyon is Khadisha Buchanan, and they're good at this current moment. They're first place in the French league. Well, it's a tie. It's a 2-way tie with PSG because none of them have lost a game yet. One of them will either lose or draw today. Finally, like they're unbeaten. The winning streak is going to come to an end for one of them. Or 2, you don't know, because a tie ends the win streak, right? Yeah. But, so, Lyon beat PSG 2-1. Lyon beat Bayern 2-1 in the Champions League on the 10th. And Buchanan did score a goal. It was in her own net, but she did score. It happens, man. I've scored an own goal before, and it's so heartbreaking, dude. It's like, you're trying to provide the offense or do a clear.
Yeah, or clear and then just goes the other way. That happens to me all the time.
It almost happened in the Costa Rica game.
It did, yeah.
But for us.
For us, yeah. No, but it happens all the time for me where my defenders will try to clear it and it'll just deflect off them and I'm like how?
I scored the nicest own goal of my life. My only header goal I scored, and it was awful. And it was against our cousin Jacques Stefan in Peru.
Oh no.
Yeah, he was not happy about that. But anyways, so Lyon's doing pretty well. Okay, and then PSG we have Jordan Heidema, Ashley Lawrence, who's honestly proving to be one of the best fullbacks in the world right now, and she's only 29, so that's pretty good. She is in her prime though, so I'm interested to see who comes up, but that's what the Canadian program is now bringing up players, which is incredible.
Which is good, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Anyways, she's not done yet. She's only 29.
Oh.
And then Stephanie Labbe. But there was some really interesting news coming out of PSG this last week. So it doesn't involve a Canadian directly, I don't think, because there was a third unnamed player that was involved in it, but nobody's releasing who it was. But there's these 2 French women on that team. One is a starter, one is her backup, and I think they're center mids. I completely forget their names, but honestly kind of irrelevant because they're not Canadian, but it's still something for y'all to hear, and I think you'll like it. So these women are battling for playing time with each other and on both club and international teams on their club team, on their national programs. And the sub hired somebody, like a hitman of sorts, to take out the starter who's in her place And then so they were like driving somewhere, and then they got stopped by mugs, like or by what are those things? They got mugged. Or they got stopped by some hooligans, I guess. He pulled her out and started beating the other woman, like the starter, with like a stick in her legs and everything.
Holy crap!
Isn't that insane?
Did the team like do anything?
Well, there's a criminal investigation into it, and then the substitute got arrested for it.
Well, that's good.
So, well, yeah, it's good, but like PSG's without two of their two players now too, and like, can you imagine what's happening in that dressing room right now? Oof. Like, you need some very good veteran leadership in there to be able to like
calm everyone down.
Well, yeah,
just keep it all.
Like that's insane. I've never in my life seen something like that. I've seen it in South America with fans and their teams. Like, you remember the Colombia guy who scored an own goal or something in like the World Cup semifinal in the States?
Or something,
yeah, it was like they were in the semifinals playing in the States. It was the World Cup that was in the U.S. and he scored an own goal, and then he got assassinated when he got back to Colombia. Like, that's almost equivalent, really. I mean, the woman didn't die; she just got really badly beaten. I don't know how long she's out for. I don't know if the injury is career or life threatening, but I do know that it was like just the mental thing that's happening. Like, oh my gosh, she hired hitmen to take her opponent out.
Her own teammate out.
Yeah, that only happens in movies. Like, what? Anyways. I thought that was fascinating, and like I'm hoping like she's probably the criminal, I guess is what we can call her. She'll never play soccer again. There's no way she'll be back in PSG, and there's no way France lets her back because she was on both teams competing for spots there.
But now she's not even gonna make it. Not even
a chance. And I hope she goes to jail for a very, very, very long time. Because that's ridiculous. Just to compete over a starting position. Come on.
Just play better.
Yeah.
Practice and play better. That's all you need to do. That's just take your teammate out.
That's insane.
Jesus
and then
Christ.
Moving over to England again. I mean, Adriana Leone, I didn't see her in the starting lineup or even in the bench. So I think she has an injury because she's not playing. You know what I mean? Like, she's not going to be on. She's not going to be off the 18 that you have for each game. So, but Diane Rose did play. She played the full 90 for Reading, and they ended up tying 2-2 with Adriana Leone's West Ham. So, I mean, not too shabby, right? And then finally moving back to the NWSL, the Women's Soccer League in the States. We have two Canadians that are being represented in there. So we have Quinn. So not technically a woman, so they are playing for who is it that they play for? The Orlando Reign. Quinn's Orlando Reign are on to the semifinals, and in the other semifinal is our homie Christine Sinclair playing against the Chicago Red Star, and Christine Sinclair plays a lot of minutes for the Portland Thorns, so. It'll be interesting. I'm hoping. I'd love to see Portland Thorn Orlando Reign final. Just
to see the Canadian battle against each other.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. It would be interesting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Christine Sinclair is still playing a lot of minutes for them too. So I think that's really it for the soccer, though. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
we're gonna talk about more on Friday. So.
Yeah, the Friday's episode we're gonna put out an all about footy one, so that'll be an interesting one again. So anyways, moving on to the NBA. NBA, we all know we have the one lone Canadian team, I almost said Blue Jays.
Toronto Raptors.
Toronto Raptors are the lone Canadian team. Yeah, they're not doing so well anymore. Like, Siakam came back, and I guess they just started doing bad again. I'm not saying it's Siakam's fault. But Barnes is still playing pretty well, if I'm not mistaken.
Van Vliet is playing pretty well.
Van Vliet is playing. Although he got fined for that obscene gesture.
Oh no!
Was it? I didn't recognize the obscenity of the gesture. I saw it. I'm like, why is he getting fined for this? Right? Like, I was so confused. No,
It's a new time, Victor. Everyone's gonna get offended, so it's bound to happen.
fair enough. I have absolutely no idea what it was, but whatever. We'll
No, but
move
yeah,
forward
like
with
in
that.
the month, like so far in the month of November, they're only 3-4. They should be able to bounce back, but like you can't lose to the Pistons, who right now after their loss, Toronto's 7-7, and now Detroit is 3-9. So like you have to win those games.
Yeah, 100%. Like you can't be like this can't be. This is going to be a borderline playoff team. Like they're going to be in the play-in tournament for sure, I think. And like you want to have the home court advantage in that.
Yeah.
Like whatever you can, you want the home court advantage.
And this is still a very like skilled team. So
I completely
like,
agree.
It's like it's still early, so they should be able to bounce back. But still, it's kind of like you have to win those games that you know you can win, kind of thing.
It's a skilled team. They've got a lot of good stars. I don't. That's the thing. The NBA is a league that you need to have at least a superstar on your team to win, and they don't have that. So I don't see them making it past the first round of playoffs if they even make the playoffs. They need to find a way of getting a superstar to join the team. And I know like they were trying to get Antetokounmpo before like he signed that big contract. They got Kawhi Leonard for the year that ended up making him win that year.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that they have to do. But honestly, we have probably one of the better. I mean, Bobby Webster is the GM. I think that's his last name, Webster. Anyways, we have a good GM. We have Masai Ujiri, who's the president, and him. Like I trust him with everything, with respect to like basketball.
Yeah.
And then we have one of the best coaches in the world in Nick Nurse. Like if this team makes the playoffs, Nick Nurse should be getting consideration for the coach of the year again.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that can tell me otherwise.
We have no superstars, and if like you said, if they make the playoffs, he should get like at least like major consideration for the award. Yeah.
I think so because this is not a team that's very strong. This is a somewhat deep. Like how did we win the championship that year? It was with depth, with the superstars that played, and then we had a bench of like 4 to 5 guys that we can put on at all times. Right? Like that's how we would win. We could play big ball, small ball. And then it was just winning in every possible facet of the game. Like they were able to do that, and they had their identity. This team needs to be like if we're gonna win, if the Raptors are gonna win it all this year, it's going to be because they outwork the other team significantly because they're just not gonna outskill many guys.
Yeah.
And like that's not a knock on like I mean it's a little bit of a knock, but it's like our best player is not better than more than half of the other league's best players. It's just a thing. So if you go 1-to-1, like your best players and you match them all up together, we're not gonna win. Once we get to like our third or fourth best player, then yeah, we're probably better than most other teams' third or fourth best players. But like on an individual skill standpoint from the other teams, like the Raptors are just not as strong. They're somewhat deep, and I think they have a decent bench. But it's like I consider myself somewhat knowledgeable in basketball, and I know a lot of players. I don't know almost a single player that's coming off the Raptors bench right now. It's gonna be interesting, man. But like again, you and I are saying you can't lose against those bottom feeding teams, and like it's very similar to the Oilers, and we'll talk about them later. But yeah, you can't make the playoffs and expect you can't expect to make the playoffs and lose these games that should be wins, easy wins, I may add, really. But I mean, it's professional sports. You're not going to get really many easy wins, right? But I mean. Yeah, it sucks. Andrew Wiggins' Golden State Warriors are still dominating though, so that's nice for him. There's a lot of Canadians in the league now. Hey, like that's pretty cool. Like how many? What am I gonna say? How many play a prominent role on their teams? Do you think? So Chris Boucher is in a little bit of a slump for the Raptors, but Chris Boucher is somebody I think who is a key piece of that team. And then we have the Gurius I always forget his last name, but he's like the starting point guard for the OKC Thunder, And then we have a couple of guys, like the Pelicans have a Canadian that they drafted
Yeah.
last year that we've discussed.
Yeah. Mikhail Alexander Walker.
Yeah, Alexander Walker. And then you have who else? Like I think the Canadian with the best chance of doing well in the playoffs this year is Wiggins, though.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
really
because he's with Golden State.
yeah. How much do you think he's learning and benefiting from playing with Steph Curry?
I would say quite a bit.
Like, there's no way you don't learn from that, right?
Oh,
Like,
no.
Steph Curry is one of the best players that I've ever played.
And Wiggins is still pretty young. He's only 26, so.
Yeah, I mean he's still technically he is still young, but it's like it's getting to the point where like okay you have to have your career already like going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so the Warriors are 11-1, which is the best record by far in the league. They're a really deep team, and yeah, I mean he's consistently finishing second in points on the team. Like they beat the Bulls, who are supposed to be like, honestly, who are going to be a championship contender in my opinion. The Bulls out of Chicago, and they beat the Bulls pretty handedly, 119-93. Wiggins had 15 points, but Steph Curry had an unreal game. He like became the 3-point. I think what was it? He is now most all time 3 points made. I think is what it was.
I think it's, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So, I don't know. Wiggins, his field goal percentage, his shooting has been abysmal this year, too. It's like he had 33% shooting. And then the last games that we looked at, he was like, what, in the 20s for one of them? And, like, yeah, so, and I hope he steps up a little bit because he is a former first overall pick. He's expected to do really well. And, like, he's just not. And then R.J. Barrett is another prominent Canadian that is playing a pretty prominent role on his team. I mean, they just lost against the Charlotte Hornets, and he had 2 points in 26 minutes played. That's bad.
That is pretty bad.
He probably just had a bad game. Yeah, 11% shooting. Yeah, he just had an abysmal game. But he was on an absolute heater to start the season, though. Hey, like he was doing really well to start the season. R.J. Barrett.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he still is kind of, but
He'll
like
just get one of those games. But
exactly,
that's
it
okay.
happens to everyone,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't expect to go out and put up 50 points a game every game unless you're like one of Steph Curry or like Michael Jordan. But yeah, I mean, the Canadians are doing pretty well here. I think I'm gonna try to get some homework done for next week to see like more depth Canadian pieces that like maybe be coming off the bench and all that kind of stuff. But we'll see. There's I think R.J. Barrett has a chance at becoming one of the greatest Canadians to ever play in the NBA. I think he has the potential and the talent to be able to do that. And I think Canada, the way that their players are, like in the next Olympics, they should be able to at least make it to the knockout stages because I think they have enough depth in that sense.
Yeah,
I don't like they have one superstar in Barrett, and then they have a team that can build around him. But that's the thing; they just have to commit to playing for the country, right? No, a lot of them just haven't. Like Wiggins turned it down like 4 years in a row, I think. I don't know what it is, but like they're starting, and then with Nick Nurse being the coach, I think we have like a legitimate chance. Yeah, so as long as like our Canadians go and represent us, like to play in the international level, I think we'll be okay. Like, we have a good enough team, but I don't think anybody is going to overtake Steve Nash, the greatest Canadian of all time, anytime soon. Like Steve Nash won an MVP. I don't see a Canadian winning an MVP anytime soon. Not when you have like Giannis, who's just dominating the league, and then as much as I hate the dad, like the LaMelo Balls of the world, Doncic, Trae Young, another heck of a player,
really good player, yeah.
Yeah, so it will be. It's a very competitive, a lot of talent in the NBA. It's always been like that, but like really right now, there's some really big names, which is really cool to watch. So it's easy to become a fan of the NBA when you have these kinds of players in there. Yeah. So moving on to tennis really quick. We won't touch base too much on it, but so as most of you know, Canadian tennis players are decent. We have some decent Canadian content players in there, and our women right now unfortunately seem to be injured. Most of them. We have Bianca Andreescu and Leila Annie Fernandez, who are not currently playing right now. I think they've missed out on like a couple tournaments, and it is for injury. Bianca's been injured so much the last little bit, and I feel like she has the potential of being a world number one. Like that's just how good she is, but she's just always injured, which is so unfortunate. But and then Leila Annie Fernandez, who just came out of literally nowhere. I have no idea where she came out of. Like, I knew she was good. She's a lefty, so that in itself is a little bit of an advantage. But she's like the tiniest, skinniest little thing, and she's just hitting like bombs down the line. I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive, Leila. You know what's up. But this week was the ATP Next Gen Finals. There was no Canadian there, but it's because our Canadian men that are really good have like moved out of that next gen phase. Like they're no longer they're current stars. So
Yeah.
in the Stockholm Open, defending champion Denis Shapovalov was again competing in it, and he made it all the way to the final. And in the semifinal, he beat fellow Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime. But Shapo lost in the final of the Stockholm Open to an American that I've actually never even heard of. So unfortunately, lost his ranking points there and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, at least they made it to the finals again. You know, like
finals,
like at least they're there now, right?
And I'm guessing they still get points, but not as much as if they won the.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly it. So
they're getting a lot more points to raise their rankings at least. So that's still pretty good.
Yeah. So Canada is going to play. So not this upcoming week, but the next week. We're in the playoffs. So the Davis Cup Finals Canada is going to be in the Davis Cup Finals. And in our group, we have Kazakhstan and Sweden. So we've already discussed this. We have a legitimate, we have to get out of that group. And it should be easy to get out of that group, really. Kazakhstan has one guy that's decent. As long as Shapo and Felix or Milos play how they're supposed to, one of them will win that group.
We'll win that one.
And the dates are between November 25th and December 5th. And Sportsnet usually has them, so it's going to be pretty easy to watch. It should be for some good tennis. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Hopefully, Canada has the potential of doing well in it. It's just which Canada player is going to show up, if any. You know what I mean? That's our biggest knock, I think, for the longest time is our lack of consistency. They just lose games that they're not supposed to, or lose matches. Like they're seeded 8th, and then they lose against the 200th ranked person in the world. That's such an issue. Like they play. Let's be honest, the 200th ranked player in the world is still a heck of a tennis player. Unbelievable player still. But you're a top 10 player in the world. You can't be losing these games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to step up and you can't play down your opposition because you're a top 10 player for a reason, right?
You have to play as if you were playing number 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, just play hard.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just so frustrating. And these guys switch their coaches every 2 days or something. It's brutal. But we have a legitimate chance at doing well in this Davis Cup. I can see semifinals again if we perform well. The only team that I'm scared of and I don't want to play at all is Russia. And that's a heck of a team.
Oh yeah.
And then Serbia has Djokovic, but if we can outplay Djokovic, you know what I mean? If we lose both our games to Djokovic but win the other 3, then it's still doable, right? Yeah. But anywho, yeah, because I don't see Djokovic losing any game anytime soon. He's so good. I don't think none of the Canadians have ever beat him. I mean, Shapo has come close before, but never actually beaten him. Oh well. So really, that's all we'll focus on tennis. There's none of our predominant names in women's tennis have played. So I mean, we'll just really leave it at that for now, I think. But moving on to the NFL, so some big news coming out of the NFL. Last week was a trade deadline, so we told you about Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Now, a New York Jet, that poor guy, man. And then the Chuba Hubbard is still playing. He's obviously not playing as much anymore because of Christian McCaffrey coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for the Panthers, but not for Hubbard, really. But, I mean, again, you and I spoke about how it actually, could help his development, which is like having a legit superstar ahead of you
Yeah.
can just see how they train, see how
And
they.
Chuba's still like he's a rookie, so he has lots of time to develop.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. And who else? So Panthers play the Cardinals on week 10, which isn't bad. And then we're looking at their scores last week. I know the Panthers are like not doing too well. They only scored 6 points last week against the Patriots.
Yeah. Chuba had 3 attempts, like 3 carries for only 3 yards. So, and he did have 1 reception for 33.
Yeah, that's huge.
So that is huge. But yeah, like you said, I'm not getting a lot of playing time because CMC is back. But yeah,
it makes sense. And Christian McCaffrey is a perennial MVP nominee once he's in there. So, but I do think like playing behind him is good for his development, and I think. But like, what's interesting about the Panthers is they have really good wide receivers, a legit superstar at running back, and okay, I guess Darnold's started off pretty well, but he's not doing too well right now. But like they have the potential of being a very high powered offense, but that also makes it tough for a new guy to come in or a young guy to come in and play in that lineup because like nobody, there's one running back in this league that will outplay Christian McCaffrey. And that's Derrick Henry. And that's it. There's just one. Christian McCaffrey's that good of a player. And there's very few wide receivers that will outplay their current wide receivers. But the thing with being a dual threat running back is Chubb lines up in both. Right? He had 1 reception for 33 yards. Like, I don't know how many times he was targeted that game, but like he can catch the football and he makes those. He's like a, I don't know, like a little snake. He just moves everywhere. I don't know if that's the right word for it because that's kind
slithers through the defense.
It's a slithers through everywhere. But yeah, McCaffrey didn't even have that good of a game. He had 106 total yards, 54 reception yards, and 52 rushing yards. So like not great. And he had a fumble too. Yeah, I mean that's it. And then Claypool, Big Ben got COVID. He's in COVID protocol. So now they have Kyle Rudolph, who like so many people are saying he's the worst quarterback in the league.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't disagree. He's not very good. Kyle Rudolph is not a good quarterback, but he's an NFL player somehow. I don't know how, but he is. And yeah, I don't see Claypool doing too well with Rudolph under center. They really need a quarterback on that team.
Oh yeah, like last game it wasn't too bad. Like he had 3 receptions for 30 yards, so 10 per reception. So that's still pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean like. 3 receptions gets like star wide receivers don't get that.
Don't get that, no.
Right?
They need more.
I think star wide receivers should be double digits in receptions and or targets. I think that's just how it should be.
Yeah.
And like it's interesting because like, so you have attempts and receptions, right? So if you were throwing at 7 times and you only caught it 5, then you were like 5 for 7 as a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you might have been targeted, but that ball went 20 feet above your head, and you're still gonna get charged with the missed attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's interesting to note like how many of those attempts are actually good throws, and how many of them are drop balls.
Yeah.
Because like drop balls are killer for wide receivers. This is why I don't watch the CFL that much because there's way too many drop balls in the CFL. It just makes me so angry. Seriously though, you're a professional athlete. You're getting paid how much money
to catch a football?
To catch a football
or throw a football.
I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but you're in one of the highest levels in the world. You can make mistakes, that's fine, but every second ball should not be a drop.
Yeah.
Rant over. Seriously though, it just pisses me right off.
Yeah,
man.
No, I agree.
And then like. Who else? How did the Jets do so this week? Can you pull them up real quick?
The Jets?
Yeah, the Jets. How did our homie Laurent Duvernay-Tardif do?
So last week they played the Colts on Thursday. They kind of kept it close. They were having a comeback. Like last time I saw it was like 30 something to like 10, and then that was basically when I started working out.
Mm-hmm.
And then after working out, they were like catching up. So. They almost got there, but they lost 45-30. And then right now they're like this week they're playing against the Bills, so that's gonna be a tough game for them, unfortunately. But
so I'm looking at this list from it's Wikipedia, so I don't know how really accurate it is. Of active NFL players, we got a lot. We have 1, 2, 3, 4.
They're
5,
mostly all defensive.
6, 7. Yeah, almost all defensive. I mean, N'Keal Harry from the Patriots. He's a wide receiver. Chuba Hubbard, obviously, running back. Yeah, this is interesting. I didn't actually know we had this many players, which is really nice.
You just really don't hear about them because they do play on defense.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
And then everyone usually clumps defense together as one instead of individually, unless you're a superstar.
It's tough to get the big plays as just a defensive player, right? But I'm looking. I think St. Just is a starter on that team. Yeah, we have a starting cornerback for the Washington football team, and Benjamin St. Just. He's out of Montreal, so you got to say it with the accent, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple starters on the defensive side of the ball. If I'm not mistaken, we have a guy who's a really good defensive tackle as well, and I think it's Christian Covington. I think playing for the Chargers. Christian Covington is supposedly a good player to, and then Harry for the Patriots. He's getting receptions. He's part there's no superstar wide receiver on that team, and Bill Belichick offenses are really run at a huge array, and Neil Henry, sorry, is part of that well-oiled machine. N'Keal Harry is part of the well-oiled machine of the Patriots, and they're starting to really step it up, which is nice.
And there's also Devon Holland, a safety for Miami.
Yeah. And then Covington is a starter. So we do have quite a few starters, actually, in the NFL. This is quite nice. But the defensive side of the ball, which isn't as pretty for some people, right? But that's okay. I'm still interested. Exactly. Right? Exactly. I'm not very knowledgeable on the NFL defensive side of the ball, so I'll try to... Maybe either I'll learn it, or maybe I have a buddy who played defense in football. So maybe he'll come on the podcast just to talk about the Canadian players on the defensive side of the ball. I'll text him. Yeah. And then, so moving on from the NFL, we'll finish off with the NHL and hockey. Obviously, 7 Canadian teams, so we have a lot to discuss, I guess, on this. But I think the 2 biggest things is Calgary is starting to come down to earth a little bit.
Good.
And Vancouver's playing like garbage right now. I did not see this coming.
They're letting in so many goals, man.
2 straight 7 goals against games. And it's not. I don't think it's because Demko plays like garbage. Because Demko has been standing on his head this season.
I wouldn't blame anything on Demko.
No. I mean, you probably can have 1 or 2 you can have back, but it's a 7 goal blowout. It's come on. The one was a 7-1, and then they lost 7-4. So they were close. No, still 7 goals against. That's team defense, man. That's just team defense not playing well. Similar to the Oilers, we just have some bad team defense plays that are just letting in some stupid goals. Oilers play like garbage in front of Stuart Skinner with 2 games in a row.
Yeah, both games he was in, they played
horrific.
Against
two pretty bad. I mean, Detroit's actually doing decent, but Buffalo's a bad team.
Yes.
I don't understand how you can possibly lose that. It's just so frustrating.
Oh my God.
But I mean, we still have some our Canadian teams, the Leafs have come back to life. They're doing well again, thank God. That media was just ripping them for just having such a poor start, which I mean, I guess I get it. Come on, dude, it's a start. Get out of my face. It's interesting, the Oilers are not doing the greatest right now either. They lost against Detroit and Buffalo, but they won against Boston. That Boston game was decent. They came back in the third. But that's the issue with the Oilers. They're having to come back the last few games because they're letting in the first goal too often. And their team defense is not great right now. They're just letting too many opportunities against them. Frankly, Skinner's playing pretty well, but Koskinen the Boston game, Koskinen let in 1 or 2 weak ones. The second one shouldn't have been a goal because it was a clear penalty.
Yeah.
But also, can we talk about how garbage the officiating is? The NHL is a joke. The NHL does not market their superstars. The NHL does not really care much about their superstars.
They have a marketing team?
Well, yeah, they did, and then they showed a picture of who was it?
Andrew Ference.
Yeah, Andrew Ference saying it was Connor McDavid. Seriously,
they actually said that?
Yeah, It was Andrew Ference, like, well, come join, watch the Oilers play and watch Connor McDavid. And it's a picture of freaking Ference. Like, that's all you need to say about the NHL. Like, sure, it's like it wasn't the NHL who did it. It was, I don't remember who it was, but like the U.S.
I think
TV
it was
deal.
TNT.
TNT, yeah. And
Yeah.
so then TNT is doing something with like Gretzky and Charles Barkley. But like, why is Charles Barkley there? Is he only there for comedy? Probably. He's a hilarious dude. Sure, like maybe, but like he's nothing to do with hockey. Nothing. It's just embarrassing. And then this is the only league in the world that punishes their superstars for being too good. Like, I mean, McKinnon doesn't get a lot of penalties called against him. Pasternak, like, in what world? Your buddy was telling us this yesterday. In what world does what's Radko Gudas have more penalties?
I was gonna say that, yeah.
Like more penalties drawn than Connor McDavid. How? Can just how? This league is an absolute abomination. Like, I don't understand how they just like they hate talent. They clearly, that's what it is. They clearly just hate having their superstars play well. And I'm not saying call every single last thing against these guys, but at least start calling the freaking rule book, man.
And then did you hear about John Tortorella?
He's an idiot.
Yeah, no, like,
he's an absolute idiot.
Like, I'm obviously, if I'm like the best player in the world, I'm getting like hooked and taken down and everything, and no collar drawn. I would obviously
be pissed.
Complain, be pissed, but like, and then Tortorella just tells him to shut up. Like,
he's like, shut up, and you need to change your game for the playoffs. Like, listen, man, the mistakes that Connor McDavid was on for the playoffs last year are learning mistakes as opposed to effort mistakes. Yeah. He's playing defensive. He let in one goal, or he was a direct result of one of the goals against last series against the Jets. But it's because he decided to rip it around the board instead of clearing it down the middle, or like chipping it up and clearing it down like that way, right? But that results in a goal, and that's something he'll learn from. That's what you get experience from. But yeah, like somebody needs to stand up for this garbage, because it is garbage. And it's not just McDavid. It's every superstar across the entire league.
Basically everybody.
No, it's just the superstars. That's it. It's the superstars are getting punished because, that was a great play, but you got tricked. But that's okay, because they had to defend you somehow. Like, defend within the freaking rule book, man. Right. Yeah. Seriously, it's just so frustrating. Like, I don't understand how they can possibly sleep at night. It's infuriating. And then the debacle with like how they were handling the Kyle Beach situation too. Like, that's a disgrace as well.
Yep.
And then like John Doe too, how they're handling that. Like, it is time for Bettman to go. It is time for there to be a complete overhaul of the league executive offices, and like the player safety. Get that idiot Perez out of there. He has no idea what he is doing. Also, can we get a definition on what the heck goalie interference is? Still don't have a clear one. We still have no clue. Like, what constitutes goalie interference now? I was watching the Calgary game, and Calgary scored, and I'm like, okay, this guy's sitting on his pad. That's got to come back for goal interference. Like, oh, no goal interference. That's fine. And then I saw another game where, like, the replay they're showing on the TV. I mean, I guess the NHL has different angles of cameras, but that's going to bring me to another freaking point. Like, you have different camera angles, release them. Show what you're looking at. Let us see it, because right now we think you're all idiots. Show us what freaking angle you have that's telling us otherwise.
Otherwise, yeah, exactly.
Right? And it's like, this goal was, what was it? They called it off for, I think it was like offside or no, it was the goal across the line. Like,
yeah.
Every angle, like, I was on TSN that I was watching the game, I'm pretty sure, Sportsnet. But every single angle we had through them, I'm like, no, there's no clear evidence that puck crossed the line. Like, there's nothing there. Like, you can actually see the puck and it's still touching the line. And then, like, a minute later, they're like, yeah, it's a good goal. I'm like, what? What? Like, it's not even Oilers games. Like, it's just, this league is a joke. Their officiating is abysmal. And, like, officials everywhere, sorry if you're an official and you're listening to this, like, an amateur official, professional official, you can shut up. I don't even care.
Yeah.
But, like, it's so frustrating. This league is an absolute joke. They don't care about their superstars enough. Like, there's nowhere in this world that Radko Gudas should have more penalties drawn than Connor McDavid. Like, the league leaders in penalties drawn should be McDavid, McKinnon, Barzal, 3 of the fastest and best skaters in the world. Those 3 should be most penalties drawn because they're superstar players, all 3 of them. Actually, McDavid's generational, sorry. I didn't mean to. I sincerely apologize, Connor. I didn't mean to underestimate how good you are. Like, I don't understand it. Like, it's literally what this is telling me. It's showing that they care more about, like, pleasing the bottom 90% of the league as opposed to their top talent. And who sells tickets. It's not the bottom 90%. It's the top talent. And I don't understand what it's going to take for them to realize that. It's genuinely one of the most frustrating things. And then they don't listen. They don't care.
They don't care.
Everyone around him is telling, like, I guess it's like whatever is making them more money is the, like, whatever, like, Bettman's was good for making the owners money. But, and I get it, it's a business. I get it. But it sucks when you don't care about your fans, you don't care about your players, you only care about making money. That sucks.
Yep.
And eventually you're not going to grow as a league if you keep on doing that. Because it's a joke. It really is, and it's like the officiating in the NHL it doesn't compare to any other league, except for maybe FIFA, CONCACAF officiating, but like I don't get it. Like, the NHL has like a situation room. They have all this kind of stuff. They can see that kind of stuff, and like, why don't you call the rule book? And like, also another question: why is there 2 sets of rules, regular season rules and then playoff rules? Why? For me, genuinely, they're not calling as much penalties is because the Oilers have 50% power play.
Like right now during the season?
Yes. They're not calling penalties on McDavid because we have a 50% power play right now. And it's like, we're giving him a goal. No, you're not giving him a goal. No. The other team's penalty is giving him a goal. It's not because you called it. It's the rule. And then it's like, and then another thing, they're penalizing the superstars too. It's like Draisaitl had a stupid penalty called against him. It's like, interference. Like, he hit him with the puck in his feet. Like, he had the puck. Like, I don't understand that's interference. Also, but it's like, it's on both sides. Like, Hyman had a very cleared boarding against Boston. Didn't call that either. And I'm pretty sure they didn't call it because they realized that they didn't call the other thing and they're trying to level it out. But, like, no. Like, you know what? Human beings make mistakes. That is fine. I'll acknowledge that. People can make mistakes. But it's when it's like 10 mistakes a game. Maybe it's an exaggeration. Legitimate 4 to 5 penalties missed a game on McDavid a game, at least. McKinnon probably has like 3 to 4 as well. Barzal, same thing. It's like, why? Like, you understand that you start calling it more and more, it's going to start happening less and less, and your game's going to be more offensive. You're going to be more insane, more free flowing, more like talent being able to be shown to the world. They have some incredibly talented players, generational talent playing right now, and I think. I mean, we all know Connor McDavid is the number 1 player in the world, but the other top 10, interchangeable. Truly, they're remarkable talents right now. Why are they being punished for being so good? Why can't you just let them do their thing and they will single-handedly bring tickets and see, like, people, like, Oilers haven't had sold-out games. I'm not going to another NHL game live. I don't plan on it. I just get so angry at the officiating. I'd rather just watch it from home.
Right.
And, like,
not waste $100 or so dollars just
they're so money hungry. Like, why does a Rexall or Rogers Place beer cost me $16?
Does it actually?
Yes. Why does a pint of beer cost me that much?
Really?
It's absurd. You cannot go to the stadium, have a beer and a burger maybe for less than
like
$30.
That's only a burger.
They're money hungry, dude. Like, it's absurd. I mean, that's the last time I was at Rogers. Was it? I think they're down to 12 to 14. I think they're at 12 or $14 for a beer.
Still expensive.
It's insane. I think 60 was a bit of an exaggeration, but 12 to 14 I think is what it actually was, which is just garbage, honestly. And then why are your nosebleed tickets $180? Like, they're just so money hungry. It's like, this is why I love like the Bayern president, Bayern Munich. We're talking about soccer now, but it's like it's kind of. It's not redundant. It's kind of to do with
related
this.
To our point.
But like, he's like, yeah, I could charge somebody 130 euros for this, but it only brings me $2 million in revenue a year. Like, what's $2 million to me who makes like billions a year? Like, yeah, I'll lower the ticket prices, lower the prices of the food and everything in here,
get more
just
people.
Have more fans come in and just enjoy, have a good time. Like, the more if you think about it, the more people you have going to the game, the more money you're going to spend on merch, the more money you're going to spend on this, the more money you're going to have on the 50-50s. Like, everything, you're just going to have more money spent.
Because you have money to spend,
people there. But also, if, like, Edmonton had a sellout streak for a long time. But even in the sellouts, if you charge less for tickets and or concession, like let's not even kid ourselves. If beer's cheaper, people are gonna drink more, and it's just math. You're gonna make more money. Like you might not make as much profit per beer, but you're gonna sell more beer because people are gonna just go for it. You have to take a freaking mortgage to be able to afford beer at a burger at the game now. Like I'm not going to another game, not anytime soon. Like it's the atmosphere isn't good enough for in my opinion either.
And then like I've heard stories that like the ushers try to like quiet down the fans. Like come on, like you're there to have fun, you're there to cheer on your team, and you're not allowed to cheer.
Yeah, and you can't start some original cheers, or you can't start. Yeah, that's garbage.
That's garbage.
The league clearly does not care for their fans. They just care about making money. And I'm hoping, I really, really, really hope that, like, the players start doing something about this, or they find a way, or even the fans, like, just start doing something about this. I did my part. We were season ticket holders for 6-7 years. Not anymore. It's not worth the penny.
Don't blame me.
It's not worth it. Like, why? Why would I go to a league that doesn't care about me? Why would I support somebody who could not care less about me? I haven't bought any Oilers merch since then. I've watched the games on the TV, but like, I'm not going to these games. I don't like. You can call me whatever kind of fan you want. I really don't care. But like, it's a principle kind of thing. I want to support I support my team. I've watched every game so far this year except for the Buffalo game because I was at the soccer game obviously, and the Seattle game because it was my mom's birthday. But watched every game this year, and I support them from afar, and I love this team. But what is making me go to the games?
Go to a game live, yeah.
Like, I'd love to see Connor McDavid live, but do I want to spend $400 on it? No. That's what it's for 2 tickets, a couple beers, some food. Why would I spend $400 on that where I could spend $400 and buy a PS5?
Right. Something that will get you more entertainment.
Yeah.
Than just sitting there for an hour and a half or so.
It's so evident how little this league cares about its fans, and it's a matter of time until like they just care more about money. It's a matter of time until the fans revolt or whatever. Yeah. Like, you're getting a lot of young fans because of the generational talents, but like you're punishing.
There's like lots of people that are actually like going other places to cheer for like the Oilers just because it's cheaper.
Yeah, well, I would go to like if and when the Oilers make the playoffs this year. I'm staying here to watch it at my house, or I'm going to go to a bar and watch it. I'm not going to Rogers Place. There's no way.
No, but I'm saying, like, not, like, at, like, bars or anything, but, like, other cities to go watch the games because they're cheaper.
Yeah. I guess I'd do that, too, to, like, watch at other cities. But even then, the more I can do to not get money in the owners' hands of the NHL or the league, I'll do it. Like, it's just so frustrating. Bettman needs to go. Fair needs to go. And this new CBA that gets negotiated, like if we have another lockout, it's suck. Okay, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this, but I'm starting to think that you actually need another lockout in order, like, because the players need to fight for a bunch of stuff. First off, the Jack Eichel situation was an absolute joke. Like, how on earth is a team allowed to dictate what you don't do with your own body? It's like, do they own your body? And listen, man, this is a huge argument that like women have been having for years too. So it's like it's just infuriating how this is still becoming an issue for everyone. And like I guess now, Eichel's like, oh well, I know how a lot of women feel now, kind of thing. You know, like. Anyways, like how does Eichel not allowed to pick what surgery he gets? I don't understand that. Like, it's oh, you're under contract for us. You have to get this surgery. I'm like, oh, so if you want me to amputate my leg just because you recommend it, is that what I'm going to do? My leg is perfectly healthy. You know what I mean? Like, It's just so infuriating. That needs to be a huge discussion point in there. 2, the officiating has to be. Oh, my God, the officiating. Like, that has to be a part of this because there's players that are getting injured and players, like, the officiating needs to be a big part of this, of their argument, like, of the new negotiation. The Department of Player Safety needs to be a part of this negotiation. And I want in the CBA there to be a very clear definition of what in the freaking heck a goaltender interference is. This league is broken.
It's broken.
It's getting worse and worse. It's more and more embarrassing every single day. Like the amount of missed calls and like the coaches call out or a player calls out the officiating and then
And
they get fined.
Yep.
Why? Why are we getting? Why are you
Why are we
getting
protecting
fined?
the officiating?
Why are
if
you
they
perfecting
can't
them?
do anything.
They're so bad. You know what? You know what? One thing they could do, have post game media availability for officials. That alone will hold them responsible for it.
Oh yeah, because the reporters will just go ham on the officiating.
I'm thinking like if a Bob Stauffer gets access to that, he's such a homer and he will just rip him a new one every single time, and I'm pumped for it. But they need to do something, man, because this isn't working anymore, and there's a lot of empty seats in Rogers.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, because we have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. It is shocking, and I want to go be able to watch him live because it's just different watching him live, and it's incredible.
It's a different atmosphere going to a live game, but it's like, what's the point if one, it's super expensive, two, you can't really do anything because the building will try to shut you up, three, like the officiating is just horrendous. It's like then you can't really do much because they'll just probably like call it against your own team kind of thing, just because you're like being like, what the heck, ref, kind of thing.
It's infuriating. Anyways, I think that's it for this. I think we're back. Like, we've bashed the NHL's officials in the league enough
and we'll probably continue next week, but
it's
we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't changed. It doesn't look like they're going to change anytime soon. So I don't know. It's just so demoralizing, just not knowing how we can, support the team without necessarily like, losing stuff, and I don't know. It's just so frustrating. It makes me so angry. But anyways,
What can you do?
all right. I think that's about it for the podcast this week. Thank you everybody for listening, especially to the rant in the end. We appreciate that. And hopefully we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much.
See ya.